The term peace and love are common, but when you put them together for this cause, it's got a different meaning. Do you know what the PeaceLove Studios are? Do you? You're going to find out tonight. Welcome in, My State of Mind, Dan York, on a spring Monday. Really? If this isn't, are we going to have one of those summers that just comes and there'll be no spring? Just it'll go from 45 to 85, and we'll wonder how are the flowers supposed to bloom. It's just crazy, man. And by the way, do me a favor, stop littering. Now that the snow has melted, holy cow, this place is a pigsty. Would you please? Well, don't be insulted. If you're not the one who does it, then don't be insulted. By the way, you see on the water bottle, you can look, shouldn't have the water bottle on the set. They tell me because the thing goes right through the water bottle. It looks clear, but they're clear anyway. Just playing with you. Okay, we got a lot to cover. We got some news that we need to talk about because that's what we do here, and then we're going to have a couple of great guests. We have this great organization that deals with the challenges of mental illness through painting and other ways, art, and you should know about it. So you will. Let us go to the rundown. Goofy start, I know. That's okay. It's a Monday. This is just so bad. I'm trying to find different ways to be able to tell you how bad this is, but we got great commentary from newsmakers this weekend to explain it, so I'll use it. This is a nice thing, sort of, but the governor should never have bought into this one gender contest. It does not bode well and sends, I think, the wrong message. And she missed the boat on this one. The Block report is a very significant report. It's Watchdog RI, actually, and that's Ken Block's organization, looking at firefighting costs in the state, and the governor's completely unwitting about it, and that's not good. So we'll talk about that tonight. In addition, we've got some celebrating to do because it's not just about basketball around here. And then, of course, it is about basketball around here because there's a new deal for the coach at URI, and, of course, we always want to hear what you have to say. So we shall inquire as to that. Let us dig into my list and talk a little bit about some of this stuff. The pension gag order is just now becoming such a monstrosity of a problem that there are other organizations that are stepping in and saying, what are you doing, Judge Sarah Taft Carter? You'll know that the pension settlement has been voted upon by various unions now over the last couple of weeks, and we've got a looming court date of April 20th. We still don't know what the value of the votes are by each public employee. We don't know how they're going to be counted. We don't know if they're going to be isolated in different groups of state employee industries like they were last year when the pension settlement was turned down. We don't know if the rules for the pension settlement that caused it to be turned down like they were last year apply for this year. Nobody knows nothing about nothing, and so here's another group that's finally stepped up and said, Judge, could you lift the gag order? And interestingly enough, they are the Broadcasters Association. Funny, I found out about this formality by the Rhode Island Broadcasters Association by reading a newspaper person's tweet today, Kathy Gregg from the Providence Journal, which is kind of that's weird. But if you wanted to learn in a one fell swoop way what this whole case was about, go to WPRI.com and watch the Newsmaker show from this past weekend if you didn't see it, because Tim White and Ted Nesi did an artful job weaving through this with the former Supreme Court Justice Robert Flanders, John Marion from Common Cause, and then their own essay back and forth. It was really a perfect show on all of this. And here's Judge Flanders, while he couldn't speak to the specific case because he's got some minor conflicts because his firm represents someone in the lawsuit, articulated the worries about gag orders in general.
What are you weighing when you issue a gag order? How serious a decision is that?
It's an incredibly serious decision because it's a form of prior restraint, which is most disfavored in the law of free speech because it prevents in advance people from talking about a subject of public interest. And only if there are no other alternatives, such as voir direing the jurors, changing the venue, delaying the trial, issuing jury instructions, all the normal ways that judges control what happens in the courtroom. Only if all those methods are impractical or unlikely to prevent prejudice to the outcome, should a judge even consider a gag order.
Here's the thing, Judge Flanders wouldn't be showing up on radio and television. I'm going to ask him to come here soon too if this thing keeps wearing on. He wouldn't show up to respond to questions of general concern regarding a gag order, all stemming from the lawsuit gag order, if he didn't think the lawsuit gag order was unhealthy and wrong. Okay? Governor Raimondo is shrugging her shoulders over it, which I think is a lousy defense of the executive branch's role in this entire thing, unless she wants to be complicit in this awful, awful scenario where people don't know what the heck is going on. I know she wants a settlement for all sorts of practical and political reasons, but what she's willing to participate in, this gag order, what the legislature is willing to participate in, this gag order, what the union leaders are willing to participate in, this gag order, is so bad for the union rank and file and the taxpayers. The collective disgust ought to be world record beating here in this state. Anyway, I don't even know how to do a signature on this conversation. More tomorrow. Yeah, girls governor for a day contest. It's nice. 587 girls between the ages of 5th and 8th grades and essays, you know, to try to become the choice. The governor put up the opportunity for one of the girls to be the governor for a day, and the essay contest is actually very cute. And actually, I like some of the thinking that went on. If you read the Providence Journal today, you could see some of the essays. They're very well constructed, and I don't want to diminish the great effort by 5th to 8th grade girls for writing some really cool essays trying to convince the governor that they ought to be the governor of the day. But I know it comes from the Women's History Month, and there was this whole organizational effort to raise women up and raise girls up. And listen, I had 4 sisters. I have a wife and a daughter. I have no boys in my life. I've been around girls and their cause and their effort, and I support. But when you eliminate boys from the essay contest, what you've done, Governor, is brought your gender to the office for that purpose. It's a celebration that we have a woman who happens to be governor, but then she's got to be governor for everybody. And boys should try to win the contest too. It's not a good thought. It doesn't make any sense. The Block Report made a lot of sense. Now, it doesn't have, you know, a final summary judgment over where we're going to find $100 million worth of solutions to the $100 million that we probably spend too much of in fire safety across this state. He wrote a great piece in the Providence Journal that kind of explained it recently. And you can go to watchdogri.org and actually see the entire report. So Gina Raimondo was asked by Channel 10's Gene Valicenti this past week on Friday whether she had seen it, and she said, "Well, no, I haven't done it. I'm too busy being governor," which was kind of nonchalant and cocky at the same time. And then WPRO's Kim Kalonian caught up with her and asked her about it again, and she was almost giddy about it.
Yeah, Governor, just quickly about the Block Report. Hi, good morning.
I haven't read the Block Report.
I know.
Why does everyone keep asking me about that?
I think, so I guess my editor just wanted me to ask you, on Friday I guess you spoke with Gene Valicenti and said you're too busy running the state to think about the Block Report, but with it being a potential...
No, I didn't say that. He said, have you read it yet? And I said, no, I haven't.
Okay.
And he said, why? And I said, I'm busy. You know, there's thousands of reports. So at some point, maybe I'll get a chance to read it.
I guess the question would be, is there any regret that you haven't taken the time to read it yet? Because it could potentially be a money-saving measure.
You know, there's so many reports, and I do my best to get to as many as I can, and it sounds like this is an important one, so I'll try to get to it.
Okay.
This is a bigger picture issue than just the giggle from the governor here. I mean, for heaven's sake, so many reports that actually point out to $100 million worth of savings? Governor, please don't let the political rivalries that exist from one candidate to the next bleed into governing. Campaigning is one thing, governing is another. This guy has put a serious report out. Your people have obviously shielded you from knowing what's going on out there in the world in certain ways, and that's not good. We have to stop diminishing messengers and worry about message. If somebody's put out something that is that valuable, it's not an everyday report. It's a $100 million clarion call to efficiency. And when you're dealing with a budget that is so extraordinary, like the one that you have right now, maybe you ought to be saying, holy cow, I've heard about it. I need to read it. Thanks for reminding me. As opposed to giggling about how, got a lot to do, I'm the governor. Come on, you're better than that. All right, Frozen 4, doesn't get any better than that. Big crowds at the Dunk this weekend for the East Regional, and PC, for the first time in its history, makes it to the finals. Fantastic stuff. Congratulations to the Friars. It is not just about men's basketball there. Remember, the soccer team has done incredibly well. They've had a heck of a year when it comes to athletics at PC, so congratulations to them. And in 2 weeks, they go to Boston for the Frozen 4. Back to basketball. Danny Hurley looks like he has a new deal. The details will be released in a couple of days. There was a big worry that St. John's was going to steal him. And so I know, according to reports, that he spoke with St. John's. But then St. John's has hired Chris Mullins, who used to play at St. John's. I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. This might put Danny Hurley in the upper stratosphere of A-10 coaches, which could cause some provocative response from the taxpayers. It'll be interesting to see what the response is. The truth is, that's the business of basketball these days, and you know what? The guy's gotten them pretty close to the show, on schedule, and he's building a program. It's good to see that he'll stick around, at least for the time being, right? Your state of mind is important to us. We've got to hustle to our guests, and so I will just tell you how you can get in touch with us, and we'll talk about your response tomorrow. 228-1886, state of mind at myritv.com. Email, that's the and you can Facebook post and tweet at us as well. All right, great story. PeaceLove Studios next. So this is what the conversation's all about. Take a look.
There's such social stigma surrounding mental illness that it's not something that you can easily talk about or that you may easily want to admit to yourself.
I know my family really had a tough time when I was in the hospital and having a really difficult time. They couldn't talk about it. They couldn't wear a pink ribbon or wear a yellow bracelet and have someone go, you're connected to that. You know, I've been through that too.
You know, this conversation about mental health comes and goes with the news cycle in a lot of ways. And this pilot on a plane in Germany has got everybody talking about it again, puzzled as to how to talk about it. So it's serendipitous that the folks from PeaceLove are actually here, not because of that story, but we had them scheduled and they had reached out. Welcome, nice to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Matt is cousin of Jeff, and Jeff is cousin of Matt. It works that way, reciprocally. The organization, PeaceLove Company, and your PeaceLove Studio, does specifically what?
We use expressive arts as a way to help people find peace of mind. So we invest in the healing arts, and in doing that, give people permission to share their stories, connection to mental health, and have some fun.
It's a business.
It's a business.
What kind of business?
It's a hybrid business. So we have a for-profit studios, which generates revenues, and we have a 501c3 nonprofit foundation that allows us to give back and impact communities that couldn't afford our programming.
It started as kind of a thing you should try.
Yep.
I'm getting to you in a second, by the way.
I like that.
And it built into a holy cow thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I won't steal his thunder, but you'll hear a little bit about his story. He was a little embarrassed to sell his own artwork, so I said, I'll sell your artwork for you. And we had an art show, made a lot of money, and I asked him, what do you want to do with it? He said, I paint, makes me feel better to help others, and we took money and we just ended up in the hospitals, schools, helping people through painting.
There you go. So there's a segue. You fell into this in a very unusual way.
Yeah, that's certainly an improbable
You had some
journey.
issues.
Yes. Well, I was I'm a Rhode Islander, went to Moses Brown, then I went on to Ohio State on tennis scholarship, and came back, and 23 years old, was working in my family's business, and looked like I had the world at my feet. Unfortunately, what you couldn't see is I was losing a battle. My mind was being overtaken by, terrible, thoughts, and basically thought I was going crazy. But as I tell people, I'm one of the lucky ones. You know, I had the courage and found my way to Butler Hospital, and I was quickly diagnosed with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And I guess for the last 29 years, I fought a debilitating illness that has tried to steal from me every day, including today. And you know, as I tell people, mental illness, it's invisible and misunderstood, which is a tough combination. You know, and I was, you know, again, I was one of the lucky ones through medication and, you know, therapy and a loving family, able to lead a, you know, wonderful life. I got a beautiful wife, 3 great kids, and it all looks good on the outside. Meanwhile, I'm fighting a hell of a battle on the inside.
Daily still?
Yeah, every day, including today. And but it all looks good on the outside. That's the problem. As I travel, people are always asking me, you know, why haven't we made the kind of progress, especially when we're talking timely issue of what you started out. The reason is simple. It's invisible and misunderstood. That's a tough combination. You know, how do you fix something you can't see and you can't understand? So, but as fate would have it, about 20 years ago, I was coming home from work one day, and when you're desperate, you'll try anything. Somebody said to me, hey, painting might be good for you on the ride home. I wheeled over to the art supply stuff, picked up a bunch of paints, came home, and changed my life. You've heard of Forrest Gump?
Yes.
Forrest Gump of painting, right here. Never stopped.
You just kept painting?
Just kept painting.
Like you kept running?
That's exactly. You got it.
You just kept painting.
That's it.
Well, what happens if he stops someday?
I hope he
Scared
doesn't.
You'll be like, Forrest, why'd you stop? Didn't feel like painting anymore.
Hey, sorry, I gotta go.
Then what happens? Holy cow. All right, so you raced through this. Someone said you ought to paint type of thing, and then I started painting, and all of a sudden the world started to get better. Did you know that you had artistic skill?
I didn't, and that was the X factor.
What did you want to do with your life before you found the painting, so that we get some perspective? Even though you were battling, I understand you were battling.
Well, I was running, you know, I was the CEO of a textile company, and you know, and that was what I was doing. But I reached the point in my life I was looking for more, and I wasn't sure. And again, an improbable series of events. The Discovery Channel had done a documentary that featured my story. They were trying to put a face on mental illness, and I put my hand up and said, "I'll do it." And rewatching the airing of the segment, I had that lightning bolt, and I said, I want to be that guy. Yeah, that guy on television. He's calm, he's cool, he's collective.
So you were good on the segment, like you're good now.
Yeah, and I said, that guy's kind of inspirational. He's motivational. I said, why can't I be him? And then I did some soul searching, and then actually in my studio, the whole idea for this PeaceLove Studios kind of came to me.
Yeah, but where did the painting fit in? I mean, I know you already blew by it originally, but the painting thing fit in where?
I mean, the painting is what
painting's been therapy.
Right, the painting is how it all started. That's what gave me peace of mind.
Did you do the TV segment before or after you found the painting?
No, it was painting long before that. That was one of the things they were talking about on the segment, how painting had helped me find peace of mind. And you know, basically it did a few things. It gave me some peace of mind. Painting provided me a sense of control. Mental illness robs you of that. But when I painted, I was in control. And I found that, you know, invigorating to my soul. So I kept painting. And you know, through my images, I was able kind of to communicate to people what I was going through. And then most unexpectedly, I was pretty good at it, which came as a complete shock for a guy who had no idea what the hell he was doing. And that led to a very improbable career as an artist. Then Matt mentioned show, money, we show up at the hospital, boom, let's try for others. And around this, the last piece of the puzzle really was, my background was marketing. And I was very intrigued by the fact that it seemed like, you know, take back, this is 4 or 5 years ago, that it seemed like there was a symbol for everything. You know, there was a symbol, you know, cancer had the yellow bracelet, they had the pink ribbon, AIDS had product red. It seemed to me like everybody had something, everybody but the tens of millions of people like myself and their families and their loved ones. So had a crazy idea. I said, you know, maybe we'll try to go out and make mental illness cool. Not cool to have it, but cool to support it and build a symbol that the world could rally behind.
And you have.
And here we are.
All right. How it helps you when we come back. Stay with us. PeaceLove brand, if you get this, and the numbers actually are overwhelming in terms of the number of people that have been helped already, it seems. I don't know how this operation was running under my nose, and maybe a lot of your noses, not even knowing what the heck is going on. But there's a couple of things and events coming up here that I don't want to miss, and then we'll talk about how you can get involved and get help and profit from your mental health challenges and whatever else is going on out there. I mean, this is a very intriguing conversation. But the upcoming events, you've got beginning in April. It looks like you got a bunch of speakers coming in here, right?
Yep.
Tell me about it.
So in May, we're having our second annual, it's called Peace of Mind Speaker Series. So we bring storytellers in from all over the country, some international as well, that are doing work that we believe is important, helping people find peace of mind, whether it's through, their people's personal work, their organizations' work. We have people from organizations like Live Strong, Active Minds, Life is Good Playmakers. So a really eclectic mix of storytellers.
You mentioned to me, Matt, during the break that you've helped some 30,000 people already?
Yeah. So since 2009, we have provided experiences to over 30,000 people.
Meaning?
Yep.
What's
art classes, art workshops, seminars, speaking engagements, where we're talking about mental health. We're giving people new resources, tools in expressive arts, and 17,000 of those individuals have received it for free, through the work of our nonprofit, which is our foundation.
You're not dealing with mental health issues.
I'm
all
not
of
diagnosed.
us are dealing with mental health
it's
issues.
It's a good question. No, I don't live with a diagnosable mental illness.
Okay.
But I have, deep connections, whether it's my cousin or my friends or my
Sure.
family. We all do. I mean, we all know somebody who is intimately struggling.
It's a big conversation, man.
Yep.
The bias is palpable, isn't
Yep.
it?
It's
It's just unbelievable. And the mystery, as you so articulately pointed out, you can't see it, and you don't know who has it.
Yep.
And we have two issues, I think. It's those folks who deal with it recognizing that it's something that is diagnosable and manageable.
Yep.
And then the others who don't, and others who don't know how to deal with someone who's expressed that they have it.
I mean, everybody knows the statistics. 1 in 4 people have a diagnosable mental illness. We can't change that. I can't change the fact that I'm 1 in 4. The number that's more staggering is 2/3. 2/3 of people won't get help primarily due to stigma. That's criminal, and that's something that we can change, and that's what we've taken, dead aim at through our efforts to try to, make a world maybe where it's okay to have something and get help.
Well, if you can have a busted knee, you can have an OCD. Really?
Yeah,
I mean,
we get the
why not?
we get the physical. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
All right. So in the minute that we have here, I would like to have you back at some juncture and talk some more about this.
We'd
'cause
love to.
I sometimes I don't know what I'm digging into when guests first arrive on the show. But in the minute that we have, what do you want people to do?
What do we want people to do? Join us. Go online, follow us on social media. Buy a T-shirt. Come to a workshop every Wednesday. We offer free workshops in our studio in Pawtucket. You can go online. You can register. You can bring your friends, family. It's open to everyone and anyone. It's inclusive. But we want people to get involved. We have ways that you can volunteer. Go on our website, PeaceLoveStudios.com, and there's a lot of good information.
All right, there you go, PeaceLoveStudios.com. And your final thought is?
We've always said what we're doing has national and global ramifications, but we're Rhode Islanders, and we're proud that it all started here, and I hope that we can be one of those things that's a shiny beacon, all the good stuff that can happen and come out of our state.
Well,
so.
there's a craving. There's a craving for what this feels like in the country and in the world right now. So
Absolutely.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. One more thing. Stay with us. That was a fascinating conversation. We're going to have them back, and you should go to PeaceLoveStudios.com. Biggest upset in the history of sports? My buddies and I were debating it. Probably the USA versus USSR in the Olympics in 1980, right? But if, as we speak, the game going on between my Dayton Flyers, the Lady Flyers, and the Yukon women turns into an upset, that'll be the biggest upset in sports history. We'll see. Have a great night. See you on the radio at noon tomorrow on WPRO.